welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. My name is Candice Marie. I'll be your astrologer this week. This is going to be the astro weather for Sunday, July 14th through the 21st, 2024. I hope you guys are doing well, enjoying your weekend. We are going to be talking all about the action-packed transits that we have for the week ahead. Oh my goodness, there's so much stuff going on this week. So first of all, make sure you click the bell button below, subscribe to the channel so you're alerted as to when we have videos coming out on the channel. We are here every Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday trying to make sense of what's going on in the cosmos. If you have not met me before, it's nice to meet you. I'm Candice. I am a Western astrologer and I work both with the Sabian symbols as well as tarot. And you can find me here throughout the week breaking down these transits. There's a lot going on this week, so I am going to direct you guys to number one, follow obviously so you can get more videos as we kind of go through this, but also check out your July horoscopes. There are very specific things happening this week that I discuss. And like I said, it's a very action-packed week ahead. We've got a lot going on. So this is definitely a week that you guys are going to want to grab your calendar or your planner, grab probably a red marker, and also pull your chart out so we can take a look at where these transits are taking place for you. I'm going to talk a little bit about everything. We're going to go day by day, but it's also going to be important to really pay attention to the predictions with the Mars-Uranus conjunction. That's really what I'm going to be focusing on this week as kind of like the primary transit, but there's other stuff going on too. So we'll go ahead and get right into it. So happy Sunday to all my Sunday crew, all of you guys who are watching. Don't forget to like and comment. Give me a thumbs up. I'd love to hear from you guys. Are you already starting to feel the effects of this Mars-Uranus conjunction? Where is it happening in your chart? Were you born with Mars conjunct Uranus? Can you give us some wisdom? How are you guys feeling with this? Because like I said, it's an action-packed week. So outside of that, and we'll kind of dig deep and we'll go through the 12 signs. We have Mars that's going to be changing signs, which is really important. There's a lot of Mars things going on this week, guys, okay? And God bless some of you guys who are the keyboard warrior for Mars. I love you guys, but like Mars is difficult. Mars is going to make some trouble before it kind of makes its ingress into Gemini. But there will be lots to talk about, right, when we see this transit. Mars is important. It rules the North Node in Aries. It is helping kind of direct all of us in where we are learning to be more courageous, brave, independent, entrepreneurial, all of the great kind of Aries things. So when it moves into a different sign, that ingress is setting us up for about 6 weeks of working with that particular energy. So we're going to see a build-up with the Mars-Uranus conjunction, which honestly, you guys have probably been feeling the last couple days. It's going to get really colorful the next 72 hours, and then it's going to move into Gemini. And that's going to really, it's going to be awesome for debating, first of all, because I feel like Mars in Gemini is a very kind of intellectual conversation, debate type of vibe. But it's also going to be incentivizing us to speak up this month, okay, this week in general, but in this next 6 weeks, we're really going to see a real emphasis on speaking up, and whether that's standing up for ourselves or kind of sharing with the class or sharing with our communities or getting started with writing something, with learning something, putting together websites, blogs, all that kind of Gemini stuff. Great energy for that. We will also be seeing that there is going to be a very critical and, in my opinion, very karmic full moon that we're going to be having in Capricorn. This is part 2, so we are going to see a critical 29-degree blue moon. So no, it's not deja vu. Your eyes are not deceiving you. This is a second full moon in Capricorn, bringing up some serious stuff. So watch for the Mars video. I'm going to be putting that out later this week. We're going to go really in depth to that, kind of take a look at some of the aspects Mars will be making. And we already have a full moon in Capricorn video out. Check it out though, because we have the one that's going to be happening on the 21st, but we also had one that was a month ago around the 21st of June. That was kind of like part 1. This is part 2. By now we should all be super familiar with where Capricorn is in our chart. I feel like between kind of Pluto kicking our ass and 2 full moons, we definitely know that there is some work to be done. So watch for that full moon that's going to be coming at the end of the week, actually next Sunday. And then we have the highly anticipated, I guess, astrologically at least, all of us astrologers are kind of anticipating this is going to be a big transit the Mars-Uranus conjunction that will be taking place. And that's actually going to be happening tomorrow on the 15th. But some of us are kind of already feeling the flames, right? We're standing next to what feels like a burning building. Anyway, so you guys are already feeling it. That's going to be building over the next 72 hours. That's really going to get kicked up because we're going to see some lunar transits. You know me, I always tell you guys, we need to see certain aspects playing out outside of just a conjunction, a sextile, a trine. The moon is an indicator also for kind of showing us what's happening, where the mood is kind of at. So when we see the ingress into Scorpio, which you'll see later today, for the next couple days, the moon is getting kind of really roughed up with some harsh oppositions to both Mars and Uranus. Intense things happening with this opposition. We're going to get into it, but just know that a lot of this is going to be about what is mine, what belongs to me, what do I hold on to, what do I possess, what can I spend, and what do other people have that I do not have, what's being taken from me. What is coming up that's scary or making me feel threatened in a financial way, in a security way, in a self-esteem way. These are all kind of the themes that we see between both Taurus and Scorpio. So watch for that kind of kicking up. Adds another flavor. And basically, the Mars-Uranus conjunction, this is supposed to be bringing about significant changes and disruptions to a variety of different things in our lives. So you really have to know where Taurus is in your chart. That's where the action is going to be. But because of the opposition that we're seeing from the moon, it is very relational. So it can very much be like a couple-day period where you're kind of feeling like other people are kind of getting your goat. It's very powerful. It's very dynamic energy. And one thing I know for sure is that it shakes things up and leads to unexpected events. Now, on a personal level, the Mars-Uranus conjunction can trigger a desire for freedom, independence, and rebellion. It can inspire individuals to break free from restrictive situations, be that relationships or beliefs that no longer serve them. And it can lead to sudden changes in career, relationships, as well as your personal values. This is the time this week to really embrace your unique individuality and take bold action towards your goals. That's the way that you want to kind of look at it, as that now or never moment. I remember saying to you guys over the last couple of months that everything was really leading into this buildup where we are going to really be kind of seeing between now and like Leo season next month that there is a need to let go of something, right? Taurus and the other fixed signs can kind of be like a dog with a bone, and it doesn't want to give something up. So when we think about Taurus, it's an earth sign, it's fixed, it wants to have something that is stable, secure, whether that's food, money, resources, stability, land. And we're going to see throughout the Mercury retrograde in this next month, several squares between Mercury and Uranus, that in order to really get to the heart of the matter, in order to really, be authentic and speak up and share our beliefs and our views, to really kind of be independent and also sometimes be a leader, many people are going to realize that that can have some financial implications, okay? Also, Leo is matters of the heart, so it can be about romance and what we are rethinking and reworking about our romantic relationships and how that is going to be impacting our values. Our hobbies, right, is also Leo. That's going to get kind of worked out in terms of, well, what do we want to spend on fun or free time? How much time or energy or resources are we actually delegating to our hobbies or our recreation, our children, right? Things like that. So you're going to see kind of like this ping pong match that's going on throughout this next month. But I believe it's being triggered because of this particular transit. Now, something else to kind of think about is that when we see these conjunctions, especially because the Mars transit is reflecting the North Node in Aries, this will be impacting everybody collectively. It's not just how it's impacting us on a personal level. It likely can bring about some really significant changes in society, the economy, as well as politics. I say that because Uranus rules these things. Mars obviously represents a sense of passion or, combativeness or frustration or some kind of breakthrough, and also just feeling like something is getting ready to kind of erupt. So we can see eruptions revolving around these topics. and money connected to politics. We'll see a lot of like conditional behavior over the next month or so. You want to watch for that. We can kind of see, you know, out in the world, but also in our own lives. Well, if you don't do this, then I'm not doing that, right? And Taurus is ruled by Venus, so it's all about love. And sometimes it can be hard to decipher, you know, the difference between love and possession. That's one of the challenges that I think that we see with, you know, planets going through Taurus, especially when they're a bit debilitated. But anyway, so you'll see out in the world that there's going to be a lot of like, if you do this, you know, then we will not charge you, or we will not fine you, or if you don't do this, then this is what it's going to cost you. And it can kick up some major drama. We can see a lot of scandalous things happening when planets get into Leo when we're dealing with these transits. I have said for a very long time that when we get to this conjunction, you guys are going to start seeing some real booms when it comes to sudden shifts in power dynamics. That includes financial systems. We're going to see more banking things kind of collapsing. There's already like a domino effect that's happening right now in China. We're starting to see major banks out there that are just going belly up. They're closing, right? People are not able to go and get their money out because the banks are going under. One can only assume that it's just a matter of time before we start to kind of see a ripple effect and how that's going to be impacting the global economy. So definitely, I see this as a time of like revolutionary movements. We may see protests that are sparked from this and uprisings as people demand change and reform. Demanding is Mars, changing is Uranus, and also in the background, this is still making some aspects to Saturn, which can be about holding leadership, holding structures accountable, people who are governing and kind of leading us accountable for this change. But Saturn is now retrograde. This is an Emperor's has no close moment. We kind of are looking for support and we're like, where the heck is it? And people are going to start to realize that really no one's coming to save us. We have to save ourselves. And so the beautiful thing about coming out of this transit is as Mars starts to go into Gemini, it will activate a trine to Pluto. And we'll see that it's really going to be important to kind of work together collectively. Now, another dynamic to this is the fixed star Algol. So 26, 27 degrees of Taurus. You guys know this. This is one of kind of like the badass kind of fixed stars in astrology. You hear, if you read traditional, you know, astrology lore that talks about bodies upon bodies, corpses, beheadings, you know, things revolving around demonic possession, suicide, unfortunately, mental health issues, mind control, right? These are the kind of things that we hear with Algol. So a bit of a powerful and intense energy with this aspect. Algol is also associated with violence and rage and extreme reactions. It's also had connections and associations with, you know, assassinations. We have seen this before. So it can definitely amplify the disruptive and rebellious energy of the Mars-Uranus conjunction, leading to intense conflicts or unexpected events. So that's something to kind of think about. And if I remember accordingly, if I believe, I'll check this before we finish our video, pretty darn sure there's going to be a full moon that's going to be conjunct to this particular degree. I think it's within a degree or two, maybe three, later in the fall of 2024. So that's something else to kind of think about. You know, when we have these conjunctions, we can see aspects down the road that will re-trigger them. And so just off the top of my head, I think about, well, the Mercury retrograde in all of August is about, you know, oh, there's been this disruptive situation or this breaking away from something physically or financially, or somebody doesn't get paid or somebody kind of gets fined for something. And you're going to see with Mercury in the shadow squaring Uranus that creators, entertainers, people in Hollywood, younger people are going to start speaking up, and they're going to start talking about, you know, I was coerced or paid to do this, and now I'm, you know, now I'm whistleblowing, or now I'm coming out about it. So there can be some drama, right? We're also simultaneously, like I said, going to see that full moon down the road. Uranus will be retrograding back over this degree. We're going to see that kind of happening later in the year. So this is going to get kicked up quite a bit. This isn't going to be something that's just immediately going to go away. And we're going to see next month there's also going to be a full moon in Aquarius that is going to square this. So there is more kind of rebelliousness, can feel chaotic, but there's also a little bit of a method to the madness. It's almost like we have to kind of burn stuff down to be able to really begin again. So yes, I'm not saying, cause a problem or start a conflict or start a fight. Actually, quite the opposite. Actions have big repercussions this week. Okay, huge. Physical repercussions, financial repercussions, and also little fits of anger or kind of getting, our feathers ruffled. What would usually not really bother us can actually trigger quite a reactive kind of like eruption emotionally. So keep that in the back of your mind. People are going to be kind of agitated over, the beginning portion of this week. During this time, it's important to just be aware, right, that these potential dangers and conflicts are in the air. It will pass. We will see this kind of ease up as we get to the end of the week. It's a good idea to avoid impulsive actions or risky behavior. Instead, focus on channeling this energy into constructive, creative pursuits. Yes, it's a time to embrace change, but take calculated risks and pursue your passions, okay? And we'll break this down as we go, but I just want to remind you guys some food for thought. The last time we had this particular conjunction between Mars and Uranus was the very tail end of July of 2022, the beginning of August of 2022. So I think it was like the 30th, the 31st through like the 1st or 2nd of August. So you might want to put a pin in that, go back, think about what was happening during that time. Was a little different because the North Node was there. So it was like Mars and Uranus and the North Node that all came into conjunction at 18 degrees. But heck, 2 years later, we're seeing the effects of that. We're seeing how money is being transformed and digital currencies and cryptocurrencies and other things are changing, right? We're seeing kind of parallel economies. We're also seeing how there is such a push for, really to modernize food or to modernize farming, very Uranus and Taurus. But also we've seen a ton of food processing plants, chicken processing plants, cattle farms, all kinds of other issues have sudden fires, right? Venus, Uranus can be fire, it can be electrical fires, it can be things that blow up, it can be explosions. So sometimes when these conjunctions happen, we see something seeded, but we don't really truly see the effects of it until down the road. So don't underestimate this. It doesn't mean something has to happen this week. It means that there can be events that almost spark something that can actually be like a bigger transformation or a bigger shock or surprise down the road. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. We're going to start with today, July the 14th. Happy Sunday to Sunday crew. I hope you guys are well and, excuse me, enjoying your weekend. One thing I want to remind you guys of, and I know I told you guys this last week, but if you're up early in the morning, we're going to see a lunar ingress. So the moon is actually going to leave Libra, where it's been very partnership oriented. It's also been kind of focused on, maybe the recent drama with Venus opposed Pluto. We've been feeling a little rubbed the wrong way by someone or something. And Venus is getting ready to also start coming into aspect with Jupiter. So we're coming out of like the frustrating, agitating separation or feeling kind of power struggles in relationships or finances. We're actually going to see things lighten up a little bit, I think, with the sextile later this week. So that's really the only thing that's kind of brewing with Venus. We're also going to see her start coming into a trine with the North Node. But if you're watching this now, the moon is actually getting ready to change signs. So we're going to see the moon leave Libra. When we get into the later morning, kind of midday, the moon ingress into Scorpio. So when the moon's in Scorpio, we're feeling passionate, we're feeling intense. Sometimes we're afraid of change, sometimes we're embracing it. We can feel things much more deeply and much more intensely. So as soon as the moon comes into Scorpio, I'm looking at Pluto and I'm looking at Mars. And yeah, we got some problems. There's some sirens kind of going off for me. Probably the biggest one is going to be the fact that the moon will be making a square to Pluto. So moon square Pluto brings up emotional kind of turmoil. It kind of pushes it up to the surface. Remember, we are now coming out of the quarter square that we've had the last couple of days with the moon in Libra. We've had some of the challenges. We are now building right into what is going to be a full moon in Capricorn later in the week. So the intensity, right? We're feeling it kind of build as we get through this week. So moon square Pluto can be like domestic issues. There could be challenges. People can be feeling kind of secretive. We could also be getting a little anxious about, not knowing which way things are going to fall. Maybe there's changes happening in our relationships. Maybe there's changes happening physically or financially. And tension relating to finances seems to be a theme this week. I know that's not what a lot of people want to hear, but between the square to Pluto and then the opposition to Mars and Uranus, I think people are really feeling the effects of like, man, it feels like it's one expense after another, or just, having to spend money on this thing, and then there's that thing, and you're constantly feeling like you're putting out kind of financial fires. Uranus can be things that come out of the blue, right? So there can also be a sense of kind of getting hit with things that you didn't anticipate you were going to have to pay, or, bills kind of coming up, or there being, unexpected situations of things that you have to fix. Mars can be kind of connected to anything that is heated or anything that moves. And I've seen with a lot of like Mars Uranus things like cars overheating, right? Computers frying, cell phones getting too hot and melting down. So be mindful that some of the costs and the expenses this week can quite literally be due to excessive heat or excessive use or excessive energy. I think we're going to hear a lot of people being like, what the heck? Because we're going to see a lot of spikes going on with energy costs. Taurus literally is money. So we might be kind of feeling like, whoa, where are these expenses or these added kind of charges and things from banks, from electric companies, from food producing companies or grocery stores? Where the heck is this stuff kind of coming from? I think you're going to see a little bit of a spike. Anyway, then we also see that the moon is kind of bouncing off of this Mars-Uranus conjunction. Some astrologers use 10 degrees orb, which means we've been feeling this now for a week. I use about 2 or 3 degrees. I have to tell you that the Mars-Uranus stuff for me personally has been going for about 10 days. Maybe it's because I'm a Scorpio. I don't know. I've been feeling it more. But yeah, if you haven't already felt the Mars-Uranus meltdowns, you're going to probably start feeling it today, because now it's within about a degree and it's going to be coming into conjunction tomorrow. Anyway, so that is brewing. The moon is really going to be triggering it the next 48 hours. So what you need to know is that, to be honest with you, this is almost like kind of the calm before the storm on Sunday. Sunday is the day that you want to get your shift together. You want to get some stuff in order so that way you're not being caught off guard by stuff that's happening later in the week, right? So if I look at Taurus, Taurus is about possession. What do I have? What am I buying? What am I able to feel like I have at hand? What's in the fridge? What's under the mattress, right? What's in the bank? And when Mars comes into conjunction with anything in Taurus, it's saying, I want it. Give it to me now. So rather than being put in a situation where you're kind of in a hot seat and you're like, Monday, Tuesday, I'm rushing around, I don't have time to get dinner, go to the grocery store today. I need to go and grab cash before I do something, go and do the withdrawal today. Try to get your stuff done today. That's the best advice I can give you, because Monday through Friday is looking rather intense. The immediate first 15th and 16th, but really all week long, we're going to see pressure building all the way until Friday. Make the most of today. Get as much stuff done as you can. That's the best advice I can give you guys. Now, as the moon continues to go through Scorpio, it's also going to come into a square with Venus. So we're going to be seeing a fixed T-square. That's going to kind of pick up here with both the square to Pluto midday, and then the moon is also squaring Venus. All right, so the moon is the fastest moving body, and the moon is moody when it's in Scorpio. It can be reactionary. It can get upset or angry or vengeful or fearful. So on one hand, it's reverberating off of Pluto and Aquarius, which is some kind of collective drama that's brewing. And then on the other hand, it's squaring Venus and Leo, which means I need more attention, affection, connection, appreciation, devotion. So we can kind of feel like we're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place, between really kind of coming out and being affectionate and also fun and lovable and kind of creative. And kind of feeling a little bit more icy or kind of, I would say like a little bit like emotionally distant. Aquarius can be kind of like keeping to yourself and like doing your own thing and just kind of going along with the plan. Anyway, so relationship stuff with the moon, square Venus, and also Pluto does not feel great. And you guys will feel this right around the kind of mid-afternoon. It's a quick moving transit, but just know that we may feel like we're kind of between a rock and a hard place when it comes to what the heart wants versus what other people expect of us. And that moon in Scorpio is saying there's a change brewing, something's kind of coming that's going to kind of flip all of this on its side over the next couple days. So that's pretty much it. You're not really going to see too much else going on today once we get out of that square between Pluto and Venus. It's a little bit more smoother sailing that we're going to have in the evening. It looks like Venus will move to a 4 and the moon will move to a 4. So when the square happens, it's at a 3. So it may be about feeling like we are balancing two different situations or two different options, or we're juggling too much. And then maybe when the when the moon and Venus moves to a 4, then it's going to be about, well, how does that make us feel? Or, like, how are we moving out of things that we have done in the past where we've been kind of feeling like we've been stuck in the past, or we're holding on to something or someone for the wrong reason, and it's helping kind of push us out of that. By the time you get to the evening, a little bit easier. Nothing else is really kind of going on in the skies. You're going to see Mars getting closer and closer to Uranus, and then that conjunction will be happening on the 15th. So this is now going to take us into Friday. Okay, excuse me. This is going to take us into Monday. I wish it was Friday. My notes say things are intense until Friday. So this is Monday the 15th. And when we wake up in the morning, it looks like the Mars-Uranus conjunction is going to be happening around what appears to be close to 7 a.m. Pacific. It's going to be close to 9 a.m. Central and 10 a.m. Eastern. I know we've got people all over the place, so for some of you guys that are in other parts of the world, it's going to be happening for you like the night before, but you're already in it by the time you guys are watching this. So Mars conjunct Uranus at 26 degrees. Well, what can I tell you guys about this? A couple things. Number one, the conjunction happening at 26 degrees is a double kind of Taurus energy. If you follow degree astrology, you know that whenever we are dealing with 2, 14, or 26, these are all Taurus degrees, right? So this would be like triple Taurus energy. Not only is it in Taurus, but it's also happening within the 3rd degree. So this deals specifically, it's really doubling down on that Taurus energy, revolving around money, wallets, things because of money, banks, bank employees, the economy, an economist, a banker. It also is connected to estates, farmers, country of origin, villages, things that we eat, things that we like to eat, a kitchen, a dining room, things that are fat or greasy, nature, forest, meadow, parks, biology, ecology, gardens, things connected to your throat, your neck, your vocal cords, to swallow or to choke, to grow, to raise, to have, possess what is mine. Things that are the color green and stuff that is associated with singing. Okay, so when we break this down a little bit further, Venus is the dispositor of these two planets. Venus is kind of bouncing off of what is happening with this conjunction, and it's disruptive. Mars wants to fight, Uranus wants to blow things up, just to put it very simply. In recent days, Venus has been in an opposition to Pluto. So there's been this brewing kind of like frustration or agitation maybe with things outside of ourselves, or maybe we felt like there's been power struggles, or there's been a little tit for tat going on. Venus does rule the South Node, so it can be feeling kind of like there's some brewing kind of tension or drama in relationships. And we are also seeing that, Venus is coming into a sextile with the South Node, clearing karma, and a trine with the North Node. So it's kind of about being like loud and proud and being like, so what? I am who I am. I might be too much for some people, but, I got to kind of say what's on my heart or what's on my mind and own it. That's very, very Leo energy. And there may be this feeling that's like, regardless of the repercussions, I don't care, who doesn't support me or who cuts me off or what it costs or, how this impacts me. And by the same token, that conjunction in Taurus can also be very, the heart wants what the heart wants. I don't care how much I spend, right? It can also be about hoarding and having too much and spending too much and being like very elaborate and like going overboard. So there can be this sense like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday of like, where are you going overboard, right? Where is there too much? Just some food for thought. And then when we think about, Venus, I mean, she eventually, I haven't done this video yet, but she will actually, in the Mercury retrograde, we're going to see next month, she will come into conjunction with Mercury. So it is going to represent this, basically like recalibrating, I think, recentering when it comes to our health, when it comes to our finances, when it comes to our relationships, and like a rude awakening about what is and is not healthy in relationships or in love. So be interesting to kind of see how Venus's opposition to Pluto is very much connected and kind of correlated with that. It can also be about being possessed by the idea of more is more. We love something so much we're willing to fight for it, or we're willing to argue with other people about what we're owed or whatever. And that could be another thing. Greed is very much kind of connected to Algol. We definitely kind of see that, where we can lose our head because we become so obsessed and kind of fixated with what it is that we want. Now, when we think of the Sabian here, the 26 degrees, we read 27, okay, we round up, and the Sabian symbol for 27 degrees of Taurus is an old Indian woman selling artifacts of her tribe to a passerby. This symbol in particular symbolizes a need to let go of the past and move forward. Okay, I'm going to put a pin in that for a second. Think of Mars as scissors, okay, or a machete, whatever it is that you want, something that you're going to go, I'm cutting this off. We can do this to free ourselves. There can be something very liberating by what we're willing to give away this week, by what we're willing to end, by what we're willing to release. It could be, dropping a grudge that you've been holding forever and the impact that that's had on you physically. It can be worth saying, you know what, I don't care. Even if there's going to be financial repercussions, I cannot stay in this job anymore. I have to go. I quit. It could be for some people being like, I don't care, what it costs. Cancel this bank account. I don't want to bank with you anymore, and you're arguing with somebody over the phone in another country about all the fees relating to what it's going to cost you to leave a bank account. These are the kind of things that can come up. So there can be catches to this. Right? But it's about moving forward, letting go of the past and moving forward. It suggests that you may be holding on to something that no longer serves you, and it's time to release it. This could be an old belief system, a relationship, a way of life that's no longer aligned with your current path, and it's a reminder to trust the process of change and have faith in the future. I gotta tell you guys, not crazy about a Mars-Uranus conjunction. Maybe it's just me because I'm a fixed sign, but I do see the purpose of it because Mars is connected to the North Node. Clearly there's something destined or determined to burn up, break down, sever, separate, blow up in terms of a argument this week that needs to happen because it's clearing the way, right? You guys may not be able to see it, but I put the tower up because I feel like this is a tower week that's like, go stack that TNT, baby. Like, it's definitely time to just blow up the bridge so there is no going back. And it may need to be that way because we're standing up for something that we value. We're standing for something that may go beyond money, or it may go beyond possessions. It comes down to our morals in some cases with some of these aspects. We've got decent aspects also. Mars is supported here, guys. Mars is making a sextile to Saturn and to Neptune, okay? Saturn is saying, yes, it is time to dissolve something. It's retrograde, or it is time, we've reviewed it. You're right. It's not, this is a false illusion of security. Let it go. And then we've got Neptune at 29 degrees, which is also saying, yes, your intuition is kind of gearing you in the right direction, or it is time to dissolve this, or you can't trust this, or this isn't maybe so clear. And then on the flip side, this sextile to the sun in Cancer, which is reverberating off the moon, which is saying, yeah, time to make a change, is saying for your safety, for your home, for your family, for your apartment, your condo, for your, your roommates, whatever, your living situation, wherever Cancer is, this change that is coming suddenly must happen in order for you to really feel more so emotionally safe and secure. Can there be physical or financial repercussions for this? You betcha. But it may be worth the price of really kind of releasing and letting something go. So like I said, think back to what happened in August of 2022, the very beginning of August, because this is the last time we had that conjunction. For me personally, I look at this and I'm like, all right, Mars-Uranus is going to make us feel very restless. I'm not going to candy coat it. We can feel very impulsive and very impatient. So if you know that you're somebody who already kind of flies off the handles, you need to be more aware of just the dynamic that's out there this week. If you're somebody who doesn't usually kind of get rocked by this, you need to know that there is a potential you could get rocked by this. This is a very powerful combination, and these energies bring about sudden changes and disruptions, and it's really about having a strong desire for freedom and independence. It's very possible that this is also leading to a surge of energy and a desire for change, right? But remember, like I said, be mindful of the potential dangers and the conflicts that can arise during this transit. Don't ruffle feathers. Don't be picking fights in parking lots. If somebody cuts you off, be the bigger person, let them go. Don't go toe-to-toe with people, because people can do some crazy things with these particular transits. The other thing I would say is that use the frustration as motivation. Right? If you're seeing something that's coming up and you're super frustrated, instead of lashing out, be like, you know what, this bothers me so much, I'm going to do something about it. And it can be about saying, I'm not supporting this brand. I'm not, buying these products. I'm not banking here. I'm not shopping here. I think this is going to be about people having a way to combat situations with things physically or financially. That's really what it comes down to. It's about putting your money where your mouth is, to be honest with you guys. So watch for that. Mars is connected to so many things. I'm going to give you guys a whole list of stuff. So just to give you some food for thought, because sometimes it's helpful to have a range of like words that are connected to a sign or a planet that can be helpful. So there may be some things in this that you pick up that you're like, yes, I resonate with that. But when I think of Mars, I think of energy, right? Both the energy that we possess, but also the energy that we're putting into things. I think about power lines and other things that can be hot and heated. That's also Uranus. But this is about ambition, motivation, desire, passion, anger, aggression, action, initiative, courage, confidence, right? And Mars North Node conjunction, the aspects between that is saying we must do this, we must be brave. So it may be bringing about a forceful situation, some conflict, some competition. There can definitely be themes revolving around violence, masculinity, physical strength. Survival instincts is Mars, self-defense, protection, fighter, hunter, conqueror, pioneer, trailblazer, risk-taker, adventurer, and explorer. I think this is going to be about brave bankers. I think this is going to be about brave farmers. I think this is going to be also potentially some kind of military mobilization that we're going to be hearing about, physical mobilization of sorts. And then when I think about Mars, heat, and Taurus is the earth. So this could be volcanic eruptions. This could be earthquakes. This could be, wildfires. These things can kind of happen with these aspects. Mars can be heat and Uranus can be technology. Lasers. I'll just leave it there. Okay. Because the last time we had this, guys, and then we had a bunch of retrogrades and other things that were happening. It just kind of makes me wonder if we're going to see like another laser situation. So I'll leave it at that. Uranus, right? So Uranus is about innovation, revolution, rebellion, transformation, change, disruption. It's about what's unpredictable, because when you think Uranus is going to zig, it zags. Nonconformity. This is about being a genius. This is about enlightenment, awakening, liberation, freedom, independence, progress, evolution, modernization, future science, technology, electricity, invention, exploration, psychic abilities. This can be about humanitarianism, astrology, astronomy, space, sky, atmosphere, high frequency, quick, sudden, unexpected, surprising, shocking, bizarre, unusual. So something that happens maybe in the sky that is connected to heat, and something that is exploding, or something that is moving at quick speed, right? All right, so then we have Taurus. What does Taurus represent? Because we know that Mars and Uranus together create fireworks, but we're putting it under the lens of Taurus. That's how it's going to express its energy. And a conjunction in astrology is the strongest aspect you're going to find, because you're fusing the two planets together, right? So Taurus is going to show this where there is some breakthrough or some updates or some, feelings of pressure and needing to really maybe through chaos or conflict bring about issues where there is very clearly instability, right? Where we can be too stubborn or too comfortable, where we are potentially too focused on wealth or security, on beauty, on nature, on pleasure or self-indulgence. self-worth. This can also be about, where we are determined, strong-willed, and I think really focused on resources. I think this is going to be definitely something that's going to rock, rattle, and roll, and it could be events that are taking place that have really big effects, far-reaching effects on the global economy and on the markets. I think I said this to you guys before. It's happening right on top of the stock market, the New York Stock Exchange sun, okay? And it's a Leo rising chart. So if you guys, I don't remember which video I was doing that on. You know what? I'll just show you guys really quick. Hold on. Stock. So you can see it. But yeah, it's kind of hard to deny this. Okay. So it's going to happen right here. Conjunct the sun. And then the Mercury retrograde is going to be right here. So this is going to impact the stock market. How? I don't know. But I can tell you, looking at that transit, the Mercury retrograde, and the full moon that's going to be happening in Aquarius, which is going to be pretty darn close to the Pluto, shift is hitting the fan in a very big way financially. So any which way I slice it, that's what we're going to be seeing that's going to be happening. Let's go back to the transits. There we go. All right, so moving forward, we're going to continue to keep on keeping on. So sorry, guys, I lost the day here. So let's go back to the 15th. There you go. Okay, so the Mars-Uranus conjunction is brewing. Mars can be things that are sharp. It can be about weapons. It can be about going fast. Slow down. Take your time. Don't rush anything. Surgical things and, accidents and stuff. Be very careful with all of that because not some of the best aspects that we're kind of seeing in the sky, okay? As we go through Monday, we're also going to see that the moon is going to, oops, there we go. Sorry, guys. The moon is going to continue to keep moving through Scorpio, and it looks like it's going to pick up a square to Mercury in the evening hours. So this is going to be Monday night. So difficult to communicate and relate with other people. There could be some stubbornness of, well, what about what is important to me? What about what I want? And then the moon is going to be like, it's hard to relate. As it trines Saturn. So really, man, Monday night is like, sit on something, sleep on it, think about it. Don't make any knee-jerk reactions based off of what happens on Monday, to suddenly decide, well, I'm cashing out my 401k, or I'm moving my money out of the bank, or I'm selling all of this stock. Like, chill. Don't do anything impulsive with money. That's the best advice I can give you guys, because there can definitely be a lot of like, well, what do we move? What do we do? And I would say just take a breather, sleep on it with that moon trine Saturn. We need to think about something because clearly we can be reacting out of fear with the moon in Scorpio, and the square to Mercury can feel a little bit more dramatic. And honestly, we want to see what's going to happen on the 16th as we start seeing the moon come into an opposition with Mercury and Uranus. Mars and Uranus. This whole week is just like, it's a lot. All right, so let's now take this to Tuesday. So this is going to be the 16th. And we wake up on Tuesday morning and the moon is starting to come into an opposition with Uranus. And this is why I'm going to double down. The Mars-Uranus conjunction on Monday is intense, but to me, this looks like a little bit more challenging. So the moon obviously is ruled by Mars, and Mars is still in conjunction to Uranus, and now it's opposing the moon, and it's going to be at 27 degrees. So it's basically, once again, a difficult time communicating and relaying, information revolving around money, personal finances, resources, values. Taurus is mine, Scorpio is what's other people's. If you're trying to like apply for a loan on Monday or Tuesday, or extend your credit limit, or if you're trying to consolidate debt, or maybe you're trying to deal with a tax matter, maybe you're going back and forth trying to pay somebody back, you're trying to get documents, kind of connected to getting reimbursed for something, you're calling an insurance company, it's going to be a nightmare. It's not going to go well. So one of the best things that I would say is wait until some of this energy dies down a little bit. The moon is how we are feeling emotionally, and that seems to be at odds with Mars, which generally wants to go fast, but when it's in Taurus, it goes slow. So some of us are also going to get agitated. The money didn't get deposited fast enough. The transfer didn't happen fast enough. Why haven't I gotten the check in the mail? Why is something not updating? And so it's going to be an agitation about what we do or do not have access to. This is why I said to you guys on Sunday, if you know that you need to grocery shop, you know that you need to get some bills paid, you know that you need to take cash out, do it Sunday. Because this is going to be pretty difficult. It is still within range of a square to Mercury, guys, and Mercury is coming into shadow. And what is Mercury? Machines, information, travel, things pertaining to communication, contracts, right? So a lot of the drama can come from trying to negotiate the stuff and trying to figure out who's going to pay for what or what's going to kind of get worked out. And that square to Mercury is saying there could potentially be this feeling of drama because of what the heart wants, and people can be very fixed and rigid in their ways. So it can be difficult to negotiate, it can be difficult to get things kind of paid off or to get paid back for stuff. The only positive is that when the moon comes out of the opposition with Mars, which it's going to be in pretty much all day, and Uranus, it will then in the evening, so this is going to be Tuesday evening, it'll start coming into a trine with Neptune. And that's releasing, letting it go, setting it free. Okay, briefly it'll also be in a trine to the sun, but to be honest with you, I don't really feel like we're going to benefit from the moon, being in Scorpio, trine the sun. Yes, you're going to say, well, but there's a grand water trine. There is, but there's way too many other Mars aspects going on for this to be like a very creative, romantic, spiritual kind of day. Like typically you would see that, when you see a trine between the water signs, but I don't necessarily agree with that. Now this can mean if things get intense, listen to what your emotions are telling you. Take a step back. Don't lead with emotions. That can be kind of difficult to do when the moon is in Scorpio. Anyway, so the moon's going to then ingress into Sag. So we're going to see that on Tuesday night. Thank Goddess. When the moon moves into Sagittarius in the PM hours, things can kind of feel a little bit easier to kind of manage. One thing that I will tell you guys is that we're looking at Jupiter, okay? And Jupiter is in the opposite sign of Gemini. No real aspects to Jupiter yet. And nothing is really kind of going on with Jupiter either. We're still slightly sextile the North Node, so communication, changeability, keeping an open mind, that helps us grow. And we're going to start seeing Venus coming into a sextile, but no real aspects with Jupiter. But still, when the moon's in Sagittarius, we feel more optimistic. We feel like we want to learn, we want to travel, we want to teach people things. And the moon is also going to make a slight sextile to Pluto, so we're feeling empowered maybe by some kind of change that's happening out in the world. So that's the positive that's in all of that. So that'll be the PM hours on Tuesday. The moon is going to stay in Sag. We're going to wake up on Wednesday the 17th. And we wake up with a fire trine first thing in the morning, which I really like. I feel like this is a nice kind of break in energy from what we've been seeing with a lot of like the fixed kind of square stuff that's been happening. So moon will trine the North Node. So it means that there are fateful things happening on Wednesday. Moon in Sag might mean, something we're learning, a class we're taking, a teacher we connect to, a philosophy that kind of comes up for us that changes how we view things about the world. We're feeling more open and more optimistic. And simultaneously, the moon is also in a trine with Venus. So we're going to get a nice little brief fire trine first thing in the morning on Wednesday. And maybe there is this feeling that's like, okay, like we're overcoming some of the turbulence that we've had the last couple of days. Like, kind of trauma time is over. Like, let's get things in action. Let's get things rolling. Love to see the South Node ruler in a trine to the North Node. I feel like this is about letting love lead the way. I think this is also about loving ourselves, being expressive, being creative, and, spending time with people who really help us feel inspired and really cherish us with Venus in Leo. So we'll get that quick kind of trine. It will start to fade, okay? And then something else that you're going to see is that we are also going to have Mercury now in shadow. So pretty much from like Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, Now Mercury is in the degree, 21 degrees of Leo, which it will retrograde back through. I think it's going to be about like 4 or 5 degrees of Virgo to about 21 of Leo. So even though the Mercury retrograde is not going to be for almost another 2 weeks, you guys will start feeling the pre-shadow. So you want to look at where Leo is in your chart. That is where you're going to be experiencing a retrograde. It's going to start actually in Virgo and drop back in. Yes, the retrograde will be in Virgo, but the way I interpret it is kind of like, clearly there's something that we need to go back to in Leo that we need to work out. And Mercury in Leo is, what does our heart say? What do we really love? What creative projects, romantic partners, pastimes, do we have to kind of reevaluate? Do we have to kind of reorganize in some capacity, make time for, right? Because it's starting in Virgo. Anyway, so you're going to start to see some of the shadowy things happening here. What's interesting is that, we are going to see the moon start building into a trine with that. I think that's more going to be tomorrow. Let's look. So it'll trine Venus, it'll trine the North Node. Yeah. So you're not really going to get the trine that's going to be happening until closer to Thursday the 18th. So let's kind of scroll ahead here. So now we're on Thursday. And this is when you're going to start seeing this trine, okay, to Mercury. And what's interesting is the moon's going to hit 23, Chiron's hitting 23, and Mercury is hitting 23. 23 is when the wheels fall off, guys. This is when it's just kind of like we are talking about the future, or we feel like something is like radically changing in some way, or kind of breaking down or speeding up. So the good news is we've got another fire trine. And when the moon is in Sagittarius and it's trining Mercury in Leo, it's basically saying, how can we learn more about ourselves? How can we learn from people around us? How can we learn how to communicate and connect and see things in a much more positive light? How does that influence our relationships, our creative, self-expression, our relationship with children, with younger people, with our love life? And we're also going to see the moon that's going to be trine Chiron. So that's an interesting trine all happening at 23 degrees. So yet another opportunity this week to make change, to communicate, to try to see the silver lining. I think maybe we're going to get to Thursday and be like, yeah, that was rough, but you know what? What did we learn? And how did we learn to kind of work through it and talk about things, right? So there's that. And probably I should have mentioned the 17th, Mercury was in opposition, the moon was in opposition to Jupiter. So there's something here that was kind of saying like maybe we were feeling more intensely, or we were feeling more sensitive, or we were reacting more to like news or information, because Jupiter in Gemini is about information. So maybe it's about global events or global news that's kind of coming up. And now we're kind of learning how to kind of go, oh, this impacts all of us, right? It's affecting everyone. All right, so then be mindful of your words and, use your words wisely when it comes to communicating and connecting with other people, because it can hurt people with the trine to Chiron, or it can heal people. And we'll see that trine actually several times throughout the Mercury retrograde. So we'll get a couple times to work through it, maybe learn how to better express ourselves as we go through the retrograde next month. Okay, so something else we're going to see on the 18th is now we are seeing the sun is in a sextile to Uranus. So the sun in Cancer is shining a light on our emotions, our home, our domestic life, things revolving around security, our emotions, family even. And it's at a 26. So we're seeing a lot of Taurus things going on. So now it's just kind of like taking stock in, what we have and like adapting, making changes. Like a sextile to Uranus is saying like, these physical things have happened. We've seen some kind of shakeups, but now we're able to settle into these changes emotionally. And we've been able to, come up with solutions. We've been able to also like negotiate. I think so much of the sun can be about like kind of like negotiating and trying to figure out, okay, let's try to make light of the situation. How can we make a positive out of this? So maybe we've learned something about our safety and security and our resources by the end of the week. Now, as we go into later in the day on Thursday, the last real aspect you're going to see is that moon in Sagittarius is going to come into a square with Neptune. That can be a little difficult for emotionally relating. Honestly, it's going to be happening really late in the evening, going into very early on Friday morning. So most of you guys won't feel it, but it does kind of represent, not always being sure of how we feel, feeling a little clouded, you know, having difficulties when it comes to relating. Sagittarius and Pisces are mutable signs, so it can be cultural differences, it could be religious differences, it could be difference of opinions in terms of, you know, relations between countries. This could also be some extreme weather that we're seeing with the moon in Sagittarius that's really kind of shaking things up in a very big way. And overnight, the moon will be moving into Capricorn. So when we wake up, there we go, on the 19th, which is Friday, the moon is in Capricorn. You guys can take a big sigh of relief, okay? Because this is like the break that we kind of get. And we're like, okay, thank God it's Friday. And a lot of the intense aspects have calmed down a little bit. Now, with that moon in Capricorn, we're looking at Saturn. What is going on with Saturn? Saturn's retrograde. It's not making any aspects to anything. It's not really sextiling anything here any longer. We're still about 7 degrees out of a square between Saturn and Jupiter, so I don't really feel like we're feeling that quite yet. Maybe we can be feeling a little conflicted about, you know, whether or not we speak up or say something with Jupiter and Gemini, which a lot of people are going to want to be chatty, they're going to want to share information, and they're going to want to move around and connect with people. And then Saturn can represent limitation. I mean, I'm filming this a couple days before it comes out, but two things that I saw today on media really kind of caught my eye, and I was like, I don't know if this is Mercury shadow stuff happening, or if this is the beginnings of Jupiter square Saturn. But I remember telling you guys in my videos that Jupiter in Gemini is going to be media, it's going to be journalists, it's going to be people on apps, speaking up and talking about stuff and posting and commenting and sharing. And then Saturn was going to be about censorship. It was going to be about shadow stuff, what's being hidden, what's being limited. I saw earlier today, Elon Musk was posting about how he's going to court basically with the EU over censorship issues and things pertaining to freedom of speech. He made a very bold statement in one of his posts today, and he said that X was offered a deal, formerly Twitter, basically to quietly censor people, and if they did that without telling the users, then they would avoid a fine. Hi, that is very, you know, we won't say anything if you just rein in the communication and the speech, but do it secretly. And then simultaneously, remember how I said to you guys, Mercury can be about data, it can be about information, it can be about networks. And it's going to square Uranus. So it's going to be about whether or not people boldly step up and they be a leader and they say things like, hey, like, this is what's happening and like, this is what it's going to cost me. Okay. This is the kind of stuff you're going to start seeing. People who are willing to sing like canaries because they're like, hi, this is a problem. And now that I'm agitated and I'm being fined, or now that I'm not getting paid and somebody promised me I'd get paid, now I'm going to squeal. Two, I heard and saw today that apparently there's been a data breach. AT&T is supposedly now admitting that millions of their users' phone calls and private information and potentially, texts and communications has now been, I guess, like infiltrated. And there's people saying that some of this information is now on the black web. Ooh. So this is what people possess, right? And then Mercury coming in for the shadow squaring that. And, we kind of saw this with like the Fed earlier, I think in the month, where somebody hacked that and was like demanding like $8 million unless somebody, put out the information. This is the stuff you're going to start seeing. I think also it's going to be politically. I think we're going to see some stuff where we're already hearing that there's potentially funding that's going on for the Democratic Party, where people who are backers and who are supporting President Biden that are talking about pulling their funding unless there's potentially changes that's going on with whether or not Biden's going to run. And I'm actually hearing it on both sides. I'm also hearing that there are people saying, no, if you don't keep him in, then we're pulling our funding. Leaderships, Leo, money, resources, Taurus, and the conflict between this emerging pattern. Guys, we're going to have several retrogrades in Leo, which means there is a new emerging pattern in leadership. This is about young versus old. Saturn traditionally rules Aquarius. And it's going to be whether or not we're kind of really breaking down and exposing some of the shadows and the corruption. And if there are new leaders that are emerging, and likely the leaders are going to be the people who are going to give the finger to the establishment and be like, I don't need your money. I don't want your money. And this is what I'm going to do with or without you. And that's what's really going to catch waves. So watch what happens with some of this stuff, because you're going to start seeing it happening, pretty much throughout this whole week. But basically, bottom line is Friday is like an easier day. Nothing really too intense is happening. We see the moon will come into a square with the north and the south node. So fateful things can happen. It's going to be at a 9. So it might be about what we learn or what we experience or what we believe about what's our responsibility. Our jobs, our leadership abilities, our relationships to bosses, or maybe even to parents. And we're also going to see a pretty sweet Venus trine the North Node. Okay, so that's lovely, because for some people who are in just the perfect place at the right time, it could be a financial situation playing out very beautifully and like something kind of showing up that was destined. It could be very romantic. Also, Venus is in Leo, guys. It's about being wined and dined, and the drama and the connection that we have to other people and the romance of it, and like really feeling like, yeah, we can really we can be bold when it comes to expressing our emotions and our feelings with other people. So there's some nice stuff that's kind of going on. I'm liking all those 9s because I feel like this is about what we're learning, and like maybe there is some drama that's kicked up earlier in the week, but it's necessary to kind of see like where we stand in certain relationships or partnerships. Looks like that moon is going to come into a square with the north node and the south node, and that's going to happen in the PM hours. So you'll catch that pretty much Friday night. The ruler is Saturn, and Saturn's still retrograde. It's not quite sextiling Saturn yet, but it can be about like, okay, it's Friday night and I'm still working, or there's something I need to kind of work on, or I got to put some work into something. And it can be about, doing some emotional heavy lifting as well. But still, a little bit calmer, right? Keep in mind, we are coming into the full moon phase that we are going to be seeing on Sunday. So for some of you guys, you're like, this is not cool, calm, and collected. Like, it feels intense, maybe. But this looks definitely like one of the easier periods this week. And then this is going to take us into the 20th, which is Saturday. And as we wake up, that moon is still in Capricorn. Now it's coming into a sextile with Saturn. So it's able to say, okay, with a connection to our vision, with some downtime, with some rest, with some recuperation, we can get a lot of work done. Maybe our job is to say, hey, we need to do less, or we need to take a step back, or we need to kind of release something. That's very possible with that sextile there. And we're also going to see that the moon is going to come into a square with Chiron. It looks like that's going to happen later in the day. So that's kind of like the burden that we feel, maybe, of feeling like we're kind of carrying the team and doing everything ourselves. That's kind of my interpretation, at least. So it looks like that's going to happen in the early evening, that square at 23. Okay, how that impacts us emotionally or makes us feel wounded because we're, constantly just kind of going through the motions and showing up and getting the work done, but not recognizing or realizing the impact it has on us physically or emotionally. And then 2, we will start to see the moon then come into a trine with Uranus, where we're able to adapt, we're able to change. This is the last aspect the moon will make before the full moon, believe it or not. That trine to Uranus, and then a sextile to Neptune. I mean, you guys know how I feel about this moon. 29 degrees, Capricorn, double full moon. Saturn is retrograde. This is like the karmic doling out period, and for a lot of people, it's going to be about bigger people in society. It's going to be about the big boys and everybody who's, now being exposed for some things because the sun is shining a light on both the moon and Pluto. And this can be about emotionally everybody being like, oh my gosh, this feels like a critical moment. And like there is some crisis revolving around leadership and something is changing. So we'll get into that as we get into Sunday. So I want to stay on Saturday. Moon will sextile Saturn, so reflect. We've got Mars that's going to enter into Gemini. Okay, so that's big. I'm so glad. I can't wait till Mars leaves Taurus. I feel like at least if we get Mars in Gemini, people are going to feel less sluggish, and they're going to feel more so motivated to get up, move around, do something, start learning something. There's definitely going to be an opportunity to have some sense of like freedom. I think that's going to be kind of nice personally. So Mars will be in Gemini. Obviously, if you are a Gemini, sun, moon, or rising, if you have a Mars in Gemini, or if you're ruled by Mars. So if you're an Aries or if you're a Scorpio chart, this ingress is going to be pretty significant for you. That's going to be important. So you're going to feel that. Listen to your horoscopes and see where Mars is kind of moving. I'm going to do a Mars video this week, so don't worry about that. That's important, but not as important as the Mars-Uranus stuff. And then we're going to see later in the evening, the moon is going to come into a trine with Uranus. Okay, so that's going to be like the last aspect that we're going to see, really, at least while we're awake. Moon will sextile Neptune, but that's kind of while we're sleeping. And we're now coming into the full moon energy. So the full moon is going to be on July 21st, 2024 at 29 degrees. So it's going to be real early Sunday morning. All right. 29. Sextile Neptune at 29. It is trining Mars and Uranus, so it's promoting change. But yeah, this is a very big moon. So one thing I'll tell you is go and look at what happened the last one. Now it's kind of like whatever you didn't complete, you need to complete it. Probably a good time today to take a look at your chart and go, where is Capricorn? Okay, there is something there that's going to kind of reach a peak the end of this week, next Sunday. So I need to be mindful that it's building towards that. Whereas Taurus, there's going to be some frustration there, right? Whereas Gemini, there's going to be a little bit more action that's going to be happening there. Whereas Leo, there's going to be some communication breakdown. I know I'm throwing a lot at you guys, but my God, this week. So we have the full moon. I guess the one thing that I can say is that it's not even just so much about the full moon, because 29 degrees kind of represents that teetering point. It's more for me the fact that right after we have the full moon, you know, the moon's going to conjunct Pluto and then it's going to trine Mars. So it's going to be like, there is this crisis. This is wrapping up. What are we going to do about it? So maybe we should talk a little bit about Mars in Gemini, just to kind of give you guys a little bit more insight and some food for thought. Because for me, you're feeling the intensity, the whole buildup until the full moon on Sunday. Mars and Gemini, right? So Mars and Gemini, I think what this is going to do, because remember it's connected to the North Node, is it's amplifying our focus or action in that area. So this is going to bring about intellectual curiosity and quick communication. I think it's going to be about exploring new ideas, engaging in lively conversation, and sharing our thoughts with other people. What I like is that this is a mutable sign and it's an air sign. So it's very adaptable. It's very versatile. It's a mutable sign, so we can be a little bit more flexible. We can kind of see that we can take a much more kind of like versatile approach to problem solving and decision making. And I think it's also about trying out different strategies and approaches during this transit. One thing that can happen with Mars and Gemini is we can feel a little indecisive. We can feel a little restless, right? That can happen because I feel like this is an air sign, and because it's changeable, it's a double-bodied sign. So we can be feeling like we need to do a million things at once, and it can be difficult for us to struggle. We may struggle and feel like it's hard to focus on one thing. We'll talk about that in my Mars video. Watch for conflict and debate. That can definitely happen because Mars is a planet of conflict and aggression, and Gemini, this can manifest as basically like a tendency towards debate and argument. So people may find themselves engaging more in verbal sparring during this transit, and it's important to remember to keep things respectful and constructive. Extra important also because Mars will trine Pluto. So there's a lot of power in our words, how we communicate, what we say. The moon, right after the full moon, is going to come into conjunction with Pluto, where people are going to be feeling very intense, very passionate. Some people are going to be melting down, and you guys are going to see Sunday is going to be like holy shift on the internet. You're going to see a lot of keyboard warriors, people, you know, kind of like frantically like typing things and kind of shouting and putting out their concerns out onto the internet. Aquarius. This is a good transit for learning and teaching because Gemini is about learning, and you may find yourself more open to new ideas and eager to share knowledge with other people. This is going to help us when it comes to variety and change, because Gemini always presents us with options, and you may feel like you're seeking out new experiences and opportunities during this transit. I do like it for the mental stimulation aspect, because I feel like we may be more drawn to things that are going to keep us mentally stimulated. A good book, a puzzle, you know, a crossword puzzle, games, chess, other things that are going to require us to really exercise our mind. It's also a very social kind of aspect. Mars in Gemini is literally taking action in our neighborhood, or going for a walk with friends, or, you know, calling our loved ones and striking up conversations. So it can definitely boost social connections. And you may find that you're a little bit more eager and outgoing to connect with people during this transit. I will tell you guys, strength in numbers, because, you know, Mars will first be kind of connecting with the moon and Pluto in Aquarius on Sunday. So right after the full moon, even though the full moon is over, best believe Sunday morning with moon conjunct Pluto trine Mars is going to be like, okay, this situation happened. What are we going to do about it? You know, we're going to talk about it. We're going to come together. We're going to, you know, call up our friends or our community. We're going to get out. We're going to talk about it. There is this aspect of being like, you can either melt down moon Pluto, or you can work with the trine to Mars, which is getting active. And we'll also see a sextile to the North Node in Aries. And it's like through being active and independent, like really kind of finding your tribe and finding your community. So some nice aspects. Simultaneously, we're also going to see happening on this day, we will see Venus sextiling Jupiter. Love that aspect. It's romantic, it's expansive, it's expressive. Jupiter in Gemini is helping us expand and connect with our communities, or, you know, communicate better with people, or travel. And Venus is about socializing, relating, and harmonizing. So we can really feel like we have a way with words when it comes to people, approaching people and working with others. The other thing to think about is that this will also be a full moon that's going to have a Mercury square Uranus aspect. So once again, Mercury's in shadow. Mercury will actually make this square to Uranus 3 times in the retrograde phase. So pre-shadow, retrograde square again, and then when it's coming out, it'll square 1 more time. The surprise aspect to this Mercury square Uranus, you know, with a 29-degree full moon is like, what? Especially because the full moon's at 29 degrees and it's kind of quincunxing Mercury. So it kind of means that there is some pretty, you know, dramatic or damning, you know, information coming out, or some powerful exposure of corruption or crimes and leaders that are kind of in the hot seat. And the drama and the information that comes out that's damning, and like how it kind of riles up the masses and kind of like really kind of wakes up like the lion within, you know, and then people are going to be like speaking out and sharing and saying what's on their mind. So Mercury is communication and information. It's about anything kind of connected to systems or travel. So the talk, or I guess what's on our mind, is going to be more Leo things. Hollywood, gossip, what's going on with romantic partners, what's going on with the stock market, mine being on gambling, creative things, having fun, taking chances. And then getting kind of electrocuted or feeling kind of stifled, you know, with that square to Uranus. So, man, watch the caffeine with this transit. Anything that can definitely be a bit of a stimulant can be overwhelming, and it could make us feel like we're kind of like short-circuiting. Once again, this is news, right? Mercury revolving around drama, Leo, and the pressure, the square, that has on food, resources, money, banking. Here's another 26. A lot of 26 this week, guys. Everything's going to come down to money, resources, and our value system, right? That's like, these are the 3 kind of big things. And when we see Mercury square Uranus, it's hard. There's a lot of drama over talking about money. There's a lot of drama over, you know, what's mine and what's yours. And it can be teaching your, you know, young ones to share and not, you know, just grab things out of other kids' hands. And that can be difficult. It could be having some really difficult conversations with our loved ones when it comes to, you know, our financial situation and how it's impacting us and how we feel about it. Talking to kids also about like chores and what you're paying them to do, you know, helping instill in younger people the value of money. But also you're going to hear a lot of stuff about the current financial situation and the impact, if this is not dealt with, that it has on future generations, right? So you'll actually see a lot of like younger people that are going to start kind of piping up and talking about this thing. And so Uranus and Mercury square, definitely like a meeting of the minds. And there is going to be this sense of, you know, are you the loudest one in the room, or are you the person who's, you know, kind of listening and kind of assessing the situation, and then, you know, being peaceful and calm, you know, Taurus, and then making a decision. Sometimes striking back, being louder or trying to be more dramatic or trying to be more combative is not actually the solution. The solution, I think, is being the more intelligent person, or being the person who really understands the situation completely or has all of the facts and information, the person who's well-read. You know, it's like Mercury square Uranus is going to be the person who's yapping, starting the drama, and then you're going to have Mars trine Pluto that's going to be like, not only am I going to, you know, show you how you're wrong, but I'm also going to kind of teach you, you know. And oh, P.S., by the way, I have friends in high places, and I have, you know, a lot of people who kind of back and support what I'm kind of working on. And like, I'm focusing on motivation and unity among other people. You just want to talk about, you know, back and forth about money and maybe politics, but we're talking about unification, not further strife. So watch out for that, because there can definitely be a sense of distraction going on around the full moon. That's like, oh, you know, you'll hear with the full moon in Capricorn, probably right around the time it comes out, to distract from what you're hearing about these global meetings and these global decisions and decisions that are being made behind closed doors. To distract you from that, you're going to hear about some major Hollywood gossip or drama. That's probably what's going to happen with this, because that's the distraction, to keep people distracted and not actually coming together and unifying. And so we'll talk about that more as Mars starts getting closer to Jupiter. That's definitely going to be about more community-driven action, and, you know, not just complaining about things, but doing something, educating yourself, speaking out, sharing with other people, teaching other people, writing a book, starting a podcast, being a part of the change that you want to see, and really kind of feeling like we're getting into the motion of really making that change happen. Now, I love the trine to Pluto. I will just say simply that this is about intellectual transformation, because this is happening in air signs. So it is about information. It's also about socializing and communication and learning. So this can be about profound intellectual transformation. And it can really manifest, I think, as like diving into a subject you're very passionate about, or a radical change in your beliefs, and sudden bursts of creativity. So I like that for that trine. Empowerment through knowledge, right? Knowledge is so powerful, and I think that's what we're going to learn about the Mars trine Pluto, and with the moon connecting, that's really triggering that. It's going to be like, rather than getting wrapped up in the drama of the he said, she said, let's just get down to bare, you know, bones and kind of call a spade a spade. What is the information that came out, and what does it mean? And what does it mean for individuals, right? When it comes to their freedom, Uranus, Aquarius, and also communication. And so we kind of need to expose some of the stuff. We need to expose some of the dark to be able to kind of really kind of get down to the bottom of this and kind of go, well, where is this coming from? What's the agenda? You know, why is there issues with trying to get people to unite or work together? Like, you know, why is there seeds of division that's kind of being sown? So you'll see that. You may find yourself seeking new information, learning new skills, and engaging in debates and discussions that really challenge your thinking, but that can be a good thing. Watch for revolutionary change with Mars and Pluto in a trine. This is a big change for a lot of people, and it can be career, relationships, personal beliefs, but at the end of the day, it's about embracing change and letting go of anything that's been holding you back. So that's like chef's kiss, like after that 29 degrees, you know, like full moon in Capricorn, after the Mars-Uranus conjunction. If you've been resisting all week, now it's just time to kind of let go. Really look forward to personally, you know, the communication aspect of this, because I feel like the trine between Mars and Pluto is about powerful communications and connections to others that can manifest as new friendships, new networks, new relationships, new business partnerships. And so this is such a strong networking kind of thing. Like, if you're wanting to start a new group or a new spaces, or if you want to put out a new blog, or maybe you want to kind of reach the masses in some way through a newsletter or something, great aspects that you have here on Sunday, putting out some kind of blast or getting some kind of message out to people. This is also about innovation and invention, because, you know, Aquarius has that connection to technology, and Jupiter is going to be, you know, Jupiter's in the same sign. So this is about expansion that's going on. So I think it's going to be language, travel, cars, communication. We can hear about like new products and new business ideas and new ways of doing things that's starting to emerge. But also Mars and Pluto are like the badasses of astrology. So this can be about kind of rebelliousness and not conforming, and saying, no, I'm not going to do this. And like other people are going to get behind me. And that's like that Moon Pluto kind of aspect. So there is this sense of, with the trine, you know, taking a lead or a strong desire to rebel against the status quo or break free from societal norms or expectations. And I think this is how we think, or how we're connecting or communicating, or how we're sharing with other people. So once again, kind of strength in numbers. If there's like enough people that wake up and they're like, wait a second, I don't like this either, or like, I'm not okay with this either. And I think there's going to be a lot of information that's going to be flying just after this full moon that we're going to be having. So it's going to be pretty wild to see that happen. Now, all day, we're going to have the moon in Aquarius. Most of the drama was either happening Saturday night or into early Sunday morning. The moon will come out of the conjunction with Pluto and out of the trine with Mars by about midday. And then we're going to start seeing the moon later in the day, in the evening. It's going to sextile the north node. So really helping us kind of get into our purpose. So it's helping us prepare and kind of expand into the Aries area of our chart. And it's trining the south node. It's also trining Jupiter. Man, I mean, I kind of feel like late Sunday into Sunday evening, really great for socializing, getting together with other people, getting together with friends, like lots of opportunity to kind of connect and socialize. We've eased up a little bit from the Moon-Pluto conjunction. So I'm really liking plans Sunday evening versus kind of Saturday or even Friday. Friday's okay. Friday's kind of a little bit more calm, but Saturday definitely, especially Saturday evening, not entirely so much. So we've got a lot of stuff going on this week. Once again, like I said, check out my horoscopes. I talk about Mars in Gemini through the 12 rising signs. I also talk about Mars conjunct Uranus and what that means and how that's going to be impacting you. But if you didn't see that, that's okay. I want to talk to you guys about how that's going to be affecting you. So remember, you're feeling it today, Sunday through about maybe Tuesday, until we start to see Mars and Uranus separate. So I'm a Western astrologer. I like to practice Western astrology personally, and I'm going to be showing you guys the Mars-Uranus conjunction and my predictions through the 12 rising signs. And I would like to do this using the whole sign method. So to make the most of my predictions, I recommend listening to your rising sign first. This will tell you exactly where the conjunction is taking place in your life and what to watch for. You can also listen to your sun sign. This will impact you more in terms of your happiness, your career, and more or less what you would like to be doing. And then the moon sign prediction is how it's impacting you emotionally, as well as what's going on in your private life or on the home front. Listen to all three. You may find that the ascendant might be more bang on with what happens, but there's still some magic in like the sun and the moon predictions, because it can kind of help you navigate some of life's bigger things as well. And once again, if you have any placements 25 to 27 degrees of Taurus, sun, moon, rising, maybe you have a personal planet, maybe this is your Mars return, even if you have a north or a south node there, or if this is an angle in your chart, pay attention. This will be a little bit more active for you. Also, my Aries and my Scorpio risings, you guys are ruled by Mars, so you will be feeling this transit more intensely. You are the one who is kind of bringing the heat, bringing the action, because you're Mars. And my Scorpios, excuse me, not my Scorpios, my Tauruses and my Aquariuses, okay? It'll be impacting you as well, especially Aquarius, because Uranus is your chart ruler. It's your modern day ruler. So Mars hitting Uranus means you're kind of feeling like someone's putting the pressure on you a little bit. So we'll talk about that when we get to your reading. If you happen to be looking at your progress chart, you can look at that too. If you got progress planets there, or if you're in a Mars annual perfection year, you know that Mars is your time lord. Pay attention. All right. Let's go ahead and get into it. We're going to start with Aries and Aries rising. What's up, Aries? Like I said, you guys are ruled by Mars. Okay, so wherever Mars is where you are. And you've got Mars in your second house, and it's coming into conjunction with Uranus. All right, so basically for you guys, this is the house of money and possessions, right? So this transit can bring unexpected changes in your finances and in your possessions. You may receive a sudden windfall or experience a financial shift. My advice is be cautious with your money and your possessions. Avoid making impulsive financial decisions, okay? So impulse spending or buying or things like that, just take a chill pill. You may experience fluctuations in your finances. You know, Mars cuts, but with Mars in the second house, like you can also be feeling like you're burning a hole in your wallet, right? There can be a sense of spending too much or trying to accumulate too many things. And what are you spending money on? Second house can be stuff relating to food, to style, to crystals, to, you know, expenses. You could be spending money on things relating to friendships because Uranus is connected to your 11th house of friends and goals and other people. Maybe you're having to spend money on, you know, a party for somebody, or you're giving a gift to someone. Maybe you have to pay dues for some kind of group or something that you kind of belong to, okay? This is more financial for you and for Libra, especially as that moon swings through the 8th house. It can be about like what you're spending money on versus like what other people are reimbursing you for, or vice versa. So there can be a little bit of like a conflict revolving around give and take in finances. Good luck, Aries. Okay, so we got Taurus and Taurus rising. How are you guys doing? You guys are probably so sick of these Uranus transits. So here's the good news, right? This is like you're kind of towards the tail end of your Uranus transit. Next year, you're going to see Uranus going to Gemini, okay? Briefly, it'll come back to Taurus, but like this is, I think, one of the last Mars-Uranus transits, if I remember correctly, you guys are going to have to deal with. So obviously pay attention if you're like 25, 26, 27 degrees, but this is happening in your first house, Taurus, okay? So first things first, your first house is your body, okay? That's the one thing that I want you guys to remember. This is your body. This is the house of self. This is how you carry yourself. This transit can bring about a strong desire for independence and freedom, okay? There can be, with Mars in your first house, this kind of get out of my way kind of energy. You mix that with Uranus and you're feeling restless and impatient, all right, and a little short-tempered. You may be tempted to make sudden changes in your appearance or behavior. Mars rules your 7th house of relationships. Taurus and Taurus risings, listen to me carefully. There are going to be things that are going to be happening in your relationships to other people because the moon's going to go through your 7th house. I don't care if it's a client, if it's your spouse. I don't care if it's a partnership of some kind. Somebody is going to come in with this opposition. They're going to rile you up a little bit. And the question is, are you going to give them the reaction that they want? That's what I want you to think about, okay? Because Mars rules 7th house. Uranus rules your 10th house of career. So it can be somebody who is a client or somebody who you're kind of, you know, transacting with, or you're going back and forth with, and they can kind of be pressuring you about something they need for you, or your partner can be getting on your case about your career, your, you know, your daily routine, something like that, something pertaining to your responsibilities. And you can kind of snap. I also think of Mars-Uranus as accidents, you know, things that can impact your thyroid, things that can impact like rashes and fevers, you know, nicks and cuts and burns, like slow down. There's no need to get kind of rough with other people ever, but especially with this transit, because other people can definitely kind of rile you up in a way where you can definitely see some combativeness with another person that can be very unpleasant. My advice for you is don't do anything sudden, okay? If you're holding the scissors and you're like, I'm going to cut my hair, don't. That could be very Mars-Uranus, wanting to break away from some like identity. And be mindful that people are watching you. 7th and 10th house is getting activated here. So if you happen to be dealing with, you know, people in a public setting and, you know, you kind of lose your cool, people are going to see how you're responding and how you're reacting to things. So keep that in mind. Embrace your individuality. Assert your independence, but be mindful of the consequences of your actions. And I think that you're going to really feel like this surge of energy where you feel like this desire to change. And I don't know if it's like breaking away from old identities, being more independent, not feeling like you're kind of under your boss's thumb, not wanting to be told what to do. That kind of stuff kind of comes up very strongly in your chart at this time, okay? Don't speed, take your time, and let me know. I'd love to hear how this plays out for my Tauruses. All right, we got Gemini and Gemini rising. You guys are going to be experiencing the Mars-Uranus conjunction in the sign of Taurus. This will be happening for you guys in your 12th house, so it's a little bit more hidden. It's a little bit more subconscious. This is the house of things that are hidden, right, behind the scenes, and also it deals with your unconscious. So this transit can bring about changes in your subconscious and your spiritual life. You may experience a desire for more independence and freedom in your spiritual pursuits. And my advice is to be open and try to maintain a sense of connection to your inner self. Mars is connected to your goals and groups and other people. It's also about health and your daily routine. So it is possible that with Mars in your 12th house, some Gemini risings are like, I am actually healing from something, or, I'm feeling under the weather, or I'm taking time to kind of like, be behind the scenes and kind of be resting or recuperating, or maybe I'm just feeling a little, socially kind of stressed out. Like I need some space. Let other people know, because there can be the sense of other people being like, come on, we want you to join us. And like, they may not understand that you're healing, or that you're feeling a little squirrely, or that you need some alone time, right? But also I think of like dance, I think of shamanic work, I think of, kind of maybe finding a way to be able to kind of work out or burn off some steam in nature. That can be really helpful for you during this particular transit. Some sleep disturbances can happen here as well, Gemini. But, just watch for desire to change something about your spiritual life or your kind of nighttime routines that can be kind of coming up for you. You might suddenly feel like you want to like rearrange your bedroom. That can kind of happen here as well. And like there's some sense of wanting to kind of rearrange some stuff at nighttime that can help you feel like a little bit more grounded. Okay? Good luck. We've got Cancer and Cancer rising. You'll be experiencing the Mars-Uranus conjunction in the sign of Taurus in your natal 11th house. All right, Cancer, this is taking place in your house of friendships, okay? So this is about friendships, networking, parties, gatherings, get-togethers. And this transit can bring about changes within these friendships or social groups. So you may be feeling like more assertive. There can be a sense of you just being a little bit more active in your social life, or feeling a little bit more independent when it comes to going out and making friends. My advice is be open to change and try to maintain a sense of community in your social life, and watch, because you may experience a desire to change something about your friendships or your social groups. Now, Mars rules your 10th house of career and reputation and your 5th house of playtime. So it is possible like you're going out and hanging out with friends from work, or maybe you go and join a new group or an association, or you're networking in some capacity, or you meet a group of people online, and like it does kind of further what you're trying to do when it comes to your career, right? Because it's your 10th house lord. Going and socializing with a group of friends does open the door to bringing in romantic opportunities. The moon's going to be going through the 5th house, and it's your chart ruler. It's going to go through your 5th house of romance, triggering opposition. So you might go to a party, mix and mingle, you've got friends, and you've got a friend that's trying to introduce you to somebody. If you're single, it can be a great opportunity to kind of connect. But also if you are self-employed, or if you've got a creative kind of business, it's great for being able to market yourself and kind of connect with other people who you can share what you're doing with, and it can help you feel like you've got some kind of professional support, and also help you expand, right? So great transit for you. Hopefully it's like lots of fine wining and dining with like Mars Uranus in the 11th house, like hanging out with people into astrology, into like working with crystals, plants, healing, maybe people who are into like art and like pottery, or like creating things. So maybe it's something that's helping you kind of get your creative stuff out in the open. All right, so we've got Leo and Leo rising. And you are my first, other than Taurus, my first square that is going to be experiencing this of the fixed signs, okay? So for my Leos, first of all, this is happening 10th house to your sun, moon, or rising, okay? So that in itself represents a Saturn energy. It's basically saying everything is visible now, everything's at the top. The Mars-Uranus conjunction will be in your house of career, and also reputation and kind of public image. So when planets are here, it's squaring you, and it feels like there is something that is requiring a lot of work or effort, or there is something that is kind of like expected of you with this particular square. Anyway, with this particular transit in your 10th house, it definitely brings about changes in your career and your public image. And you may experience a sudden change in your career, or a desire for more independence in your work life. I would just say be open to change, try to maintain a sense of integrity in your career, and watch, because you may experience some significant sudden shift when it comes to your professional path. Now, Mars rules your fourth house of home, family, and the past, or things that can be kind of like more hidden. And it's also connected to your ninth house, which deals with law, legality, travel, education, in-laws. So, the moon going through Scorpio, squaring your sign and opposing Mars tells me that it's all going to be about how you're responding to changes that are going on in your professional life and also your home, and like navigating that. Easier said than done with Pluto in your seventh house. Actually, Leo, you're one of the signs that's going to be like, oh my goodness, everything is changing at the same time, like home, relationships, work, like what's happening. Take a breather. Yes, this could be your Jerry Maguire moment. Some of you guys might be like, I'm leaving my job, but other people might be like, this is my moment. I am now launching my business. I am now working more independently. I am now doubling down on, like my career. And there could be very quickly a sense of like experiencing a lot of growth, right? In a certain position. The other thing that I would say is that there can be some conflicts with parents or bosses because Mars is connected to family, and then Uranus can be connected to partners. So there can be this feeling of being pulled in different directions and like how you deal with it. Leo, let me know like what happens. Like I really am curious about all of the signs, but I'm really curious about you because, you're the missing piece of all of this fixed energy. So I know so much of the next month is about kind of recalibrating yourself and figuring out what you want, but a lot of this I think is also like really having a breakthrough when it comes to your career. So for some of you, it can be that moment where you're like, it's time for me to leave, or it's time for me to start my own thing, or there's unexpected changes or even layoffs that can be happening. Obviously, we hope not for some people. Anyway, let me know what happens. I'd love to hear. We've got Virgo and Virgo rising. You'll be experiencing Mars conjunct Uranus and Taurus in your natal ninth house. If you happen to be a late degree Virgo, 5, 6, 7, degrees, you're going to experience a trine. So that'll be friendly because Taurus is a fellow earth sign. For you guys, the Mars-Uranus conjunction is happening in your house of expansion, philosophy, I would say good fortune, and also travel, belief systems. So happening in the ninth house, I think this transit brings about changes in your beliefs and also like your philosophical views. You may be more innovative and experimental in your search for truth. Sudden opportunities for travel, sudden opportunities for changes in directions with law and legality. There can also be shifts that are happening revolving around education. Maybe you're suddenly starting a new career path and you're going back to school. Some people might be saying to themselves, I'm balancing too much. There's too much going on. I have to, put school on back burner, or I have to, suddenly make a change or a redirection with travel. Mars obviously rules your eighth house of joint resources and also things like, debt and, alimonies or anything in regards to money owed. So if there's some storylines revolving around like separations or divorces or, needing to deal with lawyers or people to kind of help you work out resources or funds, this can be like a completion revolving around that and whether or not you're going to get paid. It may cost you guys to do it, but still it might be about getting paid. It can also be about debts and loans and things pertaining to education as well. And then Mars has to do with your third house of communication. So as the moon swings through the third house and it opposes this, it makes me feel like it's definitely going to be about communications, ideas, and beliefs. And there can be a little bit of like a heated intellectual debate that you can have with another person. So watch for that. And I really feel like this is about just, a desire for change when it comes to your belief system. And so I think there's a lesson here with Venus being the ruler in your 12th house. Like, there is this sense of like reevaluating everything you thought you knew about your creative sense of self and also your love life or relationships in some capacity. And so something's kind of changing there throughout this next month with the retrograde. Good luck, Virgo. All right, we've got Libra rising. You are going to be experiencing the Mars-Uranus conjunction in your natal 8th house. All right, Libra. So this is happening in your 8th house. This is very much connected to the house of transformation. This is about, obviously, joint money, taxes, inheritances. This is about death. This is about rebirth. It's about intimacy, healing, dealing with fears, right? The 8th house is kind of the house that can be spooky. Something that I would say with the Mars-Uranus conjunction that is brewing is that it's very likely going to be bringing about changes in your intimate relationships and also shared resources. So you may experience a sudden change in your financial situation. Maybe you decide that you want to break away and you want more independence from your relationships. There may be a sense of being like, that's it. I'm no longer sharing a bank account with somebody, or I'm no longer spending money on this, or, I want something kind of back from somebody else. Mars rules your 7th house of committed relationships and also your 2nd house of income and money. So like I said, you and Aries, this is very financial for you guys. The moon will be going through your 2nd house of personal spending, okay? And this can also be about your resources and something that you gain. But the Mars-Uranus in the 8th house is like money's coming in, money's going out. So money's coming in, you got to pay a bill, you got to pay somebody back, you got to, pay a debt, something like that. It's kind of going down. And there can definitely be some friction between you and other people about the give and take when it comes to finances. And it can be a time where you're like, do I want to break away from someone, even if it means that, I'm no longer getting that stream of income, or, maybe I no longer want to be paying somebody for a service. 7th house can be your spouse, your partner. It can also be a client. It can be a therapist, somebody who's like a counselor. So you can be like, that's it. They're not helping me. I don't want to pay for this anymore, right? Anyway, so something like that can come up. I do think you're going to feel like you need more independence in your relationships. And I would just say, for some advice, be open to change and try to maintain your sense of trust in relationships. You may experience this feeling of, needing more independence, but be mindful that just suddenly, abruptly ending something can have some big, financial or physical kind of implications here. Okay. Good luck. We got Scorpio and Scorpio rising. You'll be experiencing Mars conjunct Uranus in your natal 7th house. This is your opposite sign, Scorpio, and your 7th house is your relationships, your partners. All right. So obviously, you're Mars ruled. So wherever Mars goes is where you're going to see some action. So Mars being in the 7th house means that you're active when it comes to 7th house people. You're active with a partner, with a spouse, maybe with a counselor, a therapist. Maybe you're active when it comes to selling something. Maybe you have like a website or something that you sell services. It's your marketplace in the 7th house. So when I look at this, I'm like, all right, this transit's definitely going to bring some changes to your relationships with other people, especially romantic partners. Those of you guys who are single, I think this is going to be a little bit more exciting and thrilling than those of you guys who are partnered, because at least it's giving that opportunity for somebody to suddenly show up unexpectedly, and it can be like a good exchange. However, those of you guys who are partnered and you're in committed one-on-one, marriages, business relationships, whatever, watch out, because this could be the straw that breaks the camel's back. If there's been some tension here, this can be something where you could see something really blow up. It can be about being more assertive and independent in your relationships. Yes, be open to change and try to maintain a sense of independence in your relationships, but also watch when there's interactions with other people and you're triggering other people. And I'm not saying you're the bad guy, Scorpio, but the moon is going to be in your sign, which means as the moon goes through your 1st house, you're emotional, you're reacting to something, you're moody, something's going to be going on where you're going to be acting a certain way, and that is going to trigger another person. And Uranus deals with your home and your family, or your emotions, or your past, and you are Mars. So you'll be acting a certain way. It may trigger somebody to be like, okay, why aren't you talking to me? And they take it as, you're mad at them or you're being combative or whatever, and it can set another person off, right? Ooh. So just be mindful of that. Mars also does rule your 6th house, so it deals with your day-to-day. So the combativeness you might have can be with a coworker. It can be some challenge you have in a relationship over your schedule, a health matter, a pet. There can be something that can kind of go on here that can definitely cause a little bit of tension, even schedule changes and how that's impacting you and a relationship. But to be honest with you, if there's been tension, if there's been problems, for some people this can be the final, okay, I'm cutting this person, I'm moving on, right? But if you're single, it can be exciting because somebody can kind of suddenly show up. So Try to be mindful and realize and recognize that there's a lot of mirroring that's going on with this particular transit. Scorpio, let me know what's going on here. I'd love to hear it. We have Sag and Sag rising. You'll be experiencing a Mars-Uranus conjunction in the sign of Taurus. It'll be in your natal 6th house. And for you guys, this is going to be about your house of health. This is also about your office space, your daily routine, and your habits. So this transit brings about changes in this area of your life, okay? So it can mean, you know what, I want to make a change with my routine. I want to suddenly, cut this. I want to change that. And it can cause sudden changes in your job or also your health, all right? So be mindful that, of your health and try to maintain a sense of stability in your work life. You may experience a desire to change your daily routine. Now, Mars rules the 12th house of the kind of subconscious and what's hidden. So this can mean there's something that's kind of going on subconsciously that maybe isn't being dealt with emotionally, that's deep, that's causing some kind of emotional distress or emotional disturbances or maybe changes with your health or with your habits. The 6th house can be digestion. Taurus can be your thyroid. It can also be connected to your throat or your voice. It can also be about your diet and your dietary habits. Mars also is connected to your 6th house. So it can mean that you are feeling like it's been all work and no play, and you're agitated because you're feeling like you're not getting enough playtime. But you can be overwhelmed because of work and responsibilities or caretaking. 5th house can be for a romantic partner or for a child, or feeling overwhelmed when it comes to, your own sense of like inner joy and not feeling like there's enough kind of like work-life balance. I think I would say to any of you guys, be very mindful of like on the job accidents or injuries, especially if you're dealing with anything that can be like electrical or sharp or heated, be careful of that. And the moon's going to be swinging through the 12th house, so you can kind of be feeling like a little more retreat oriented anyway. So if you're feeling under the weather, you're feeling a little mentally zapped, like take a mental health day. This can be a time where you kind of need to kind of rest and recuperate and kind of heal a little bit before you get back into the swing of working again, okay? Job changes can happen here very suddenly and sporadically as well, so be mindful of that. All right, so next we're going to have Capricorn and Capricorn rising. You will be experiencing the Mars-Uranus conjunction in Taurus in your natal 5th house. Now, this is happening in a fellow Earth sign, so if you happen to be like 25, 26, 27 degrees of Capricorn, Sun, Moon, or Rising, this is actually pretty friendly for you because you'll be experiencing a trine, and it's going to be keeping things kind of lively. This conjunction is happening in your house of romance, creativity, and self-expression. So this transit's likely to bring a really sudden dramatic opportunity in your love life or your romantic relationships. It might bring a sudden opportunity for creativity, self-expression. You might feel like you're ready to create something, right? It can also bring shocks and surprises when it comes to your love life or even children. You might find that you're more innovative and experimental when it comes to your creative pursuits. And my advice is embrace your creativity and open up to new experiences in your romantic life. And you may feel that there's like a surge of energy and desire to change your creative expression or to have a sense of like more excitement when it comes to your love life. Now, Mars rules your home, and this is also family in the past. And Mars also is connected to your 11th house of friends and other people. So this can be a time where like there's some exciting news coming about, from friends that they're sharing with you or that you're sharing with friends. Mars-Uranus can be a chance meeting. It can also mean that there's like a party that you're going to, or your kid's having a party and you're bringing other people's, kids over with the moon in the 11th house. I like this. I feel like because this is a very disruptive conjunction, happening in the 5th house could mean like, love strikes very suddenly, or, you go to like a family party or get together and then you meet somebody that you never expected you were going to meet, or you end up having a blast, like having a kid's birthday party at home. And it's really great for self-expression and creativity. I feel like if you're somebody who has your own business or you're in the artistic kind of world, this can be a time where you're feeling like you're very driven to want to create. And because Mars rules your home, some of you guys are like, I need to create a designated space to do my arts and crafts, or to run my small business, or, to be able to kind of do the things that I want to do. So you may be more willing to invest time or energy into creating that space within your home. Okay? Good luck. We've got Aquarius and Aquarius rising. All right, Aquarius. So you've got Mars and Uranus coming into conjunction in the sign of Taurus in your natal 4th house. In this case, you're going to feel like Mars is attacking you, all right, because Mars is the faster moving planet. So first of all, your 4th house is your home, your roots, your family, your private life, okay? So whether this is you and your roommates, you and your family, you and your partner, even if you live alone, there's going to be something that's going to come up that can feel a little disruptive when it comes to your space. So this transit can bring about changes in your home or your family life. That's the good thing. You know, you may experience a sudden move or changes in your family dynamics. My advice is be open to change and try to maintain a sense of stability in your home life, and watch, because there could be a desire to make a big change when it comes to your home or your living situation. Now, you are Uranus in the 4th, and Mars rules the 3rd house, which could be communications, it could be siblings, it could be neighbors. And Mars also is connected to your 10th house of, work, responsibility, things of that nature. It may mean that you're like, I'm working from home, I'm taking meetings, I'm doing a lot of work at home, that's the change, right? It could mean that suddenly you're feeling more inclined to want to make changes in, where you're living and the impact that has on your work situation, because the moon is going to be in your 10th house. So there's going to be some work stuff going on where maybe you're feeling like you have to be at work, you have a bunch of stuff you're trying to get done, and you get a phone call and it's like, oh my God, something happened, like with the family, or something happened with, your home, or somebody calls you and says, the power's out, can you come home and take care of something? Something like that can kind of happen where you're getting pulled in 2 different directions. I will tell you that Mars in the 4th house is disruptive, because you can feel like people come into the home that cause problems, or noisy neighbors, or neighbors being kind of combative over, parties or over parking situations. And the 10th house can be superior. So it can be things like, you have a noise complaint coming from a neighbor, and you guys are kind of arguing about it, and then like a cop shows up at your house. So be mindful that there is going to be some sense of like authority figures somehow getting involved. And if not that, then it can be your boss or some kind of work responsibility versus what you're doing at home. Obviously, I know it can be challenging. You've got a lot of oppositions and squares that are kind of taking place in this next month. I'm hoping for you guys, it's like, I'm finally moving, or, we finally sold our house and now we can relocate, or I'm ending my lease and I'm breaking out of here. I have a new job opportunity. These can be good things. I would just say, have a list of things to work on around the home. Avoid anything electrical, avoid anything with heat or anything sharp during this transit. Trust me, if you're trying to go and cut stuff down outside, wait a couple days. And there can be some electricity issues that are kind of happening, or some storm issues that are kind of impacting, your resources at home. Mars can be fire too. So like Mars, Uranus, like not time to be lighting candles. Make sure your oven's off. Make sure all the electrical stuff is like safe and how it's kind of like wired or plugged in. Just be extra cautious when it comes to things revolving around fire and electricity within the home and within the kitchen. Okay? Good luck. We've got Pisces and Pisces rising. You guys are going to be experiencing the Mars-Uranus conjunction in the sign of Taurus in your natal 3rd house. All right, Pisces, this is the house of communication. All right, so we could be kind of trying to communicate faster than our kind of brain can keep up. There can be a sense of feeling like we're having communication burnout. That can definitely happen here, but this transit is about bringing about changes in your communication style, and also the relationships that you have maybe to your community, to neighbors, to siblings. And you may feel more assertive in your communication. You might feel more innovative when it comes to communicating. I would just say, like, keep an open mind, be open to new ideas and perspectives, be mindful of your communication and your words. They will have a big impact on other people. And I also feel like this is about experiencing a surge of energy and a desire to maybe write something, or, put out a blog, or write a book, or learn something new, or to kind of like travel. You might be like, I need to get in the car and go somewhere. Like, I need to go away for like a day or two. There might be some kind of feeling of like wanderlust that can kind of come with this as well. Now, Mars rules your second house of possessions and income, and it also rules your ninth house of travel. So I really feel like for some of you guys, you might suddenly spring and go, I'm buying the plane ticket, you know, because the third house is short distance travel or making transactions online. And the ninth house can be about airports and foreign travel. I'm buying, you know, the book, I'm buying the course, I'm signing up for, you know, for the class. Something like that can happen because it's about investing in something that you're really passionate about doing. But yeah, travel bug might hit you guys very suddenly. And I would just say, like, there is this feeling to kind of like want to kind of run away or escape when the moon goes through the ninth house. Thankfully, it's going to trine your ascendant and also Saturn and Neptune. So for some of you guys, it is the time to be like, yes, I am moving, I am traveling, you know, I am learning something new. But still, we can feel very overwhelmed with communication and feeling like we're talking too much, we're, you know, writing too much, or reading too much, we're traveling too much. Like, take your time. Don't speed with this transit also, guys, okay? In the third house, not a time to speed. We can see issues involving vehicles and accidents with this transit. Also, maybe some squabbles with siblings or neighbors. So we just want to try to kind of keep the peace if at all possible, okay? So I would love to hear your guys' Mars Uranus stories. I've told you mine several times. I'm sure I will have another one for you because it's still opposing my Mercury and my Sun. Yeah, leave me your comments below. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Don't forget to also give me a thumbs up. Any interaction with the channel, it really helps the channel grow. You guys know I'm trying to hit 50,000 subscribers before the end of the year. I think we could totally do it. So make sure to subscribe so that way you get the other videos throughout the week, the lunar videos, the horoscopes, and all of the astro weather. And yeah, I hope you guys have a very peaceful week. I'm sending you guys all good juju, lots of good energy, because I know there's a lot going on. I will be back obviously on Tuesday. This week we're going to be touching on the Mars transit. I'm going to put together a video also that's previewing the Mercury retrograde because we're coming into shadow. I have some changes to my schedule this week, so you guys will be getting horoscopes next week, okay? So usually I know you guys get it this week. You're going to get them next week. And I will not be here on Friday. So I just want to remind you guys, I know one of the bigger full moons of the year, and I will not be here. So I will not be having live readings on Friday. I apologize. I will be back next week. Make sure you check the links in the community tab. We will come back next week and we'll do some astrology for you. But you know, the full moon's in my fourth house. So it's like home and family stuff that's going on this week. Anyway, send you guys lots of good vibes. I'll catch you guys back here on Tuesday. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and I'll see you back here very soon. Take care.